Hello, everyone. We're going to get, again, right into this. Standards of treason. How the American National Standards Institute, the American National Crediting Board, and Communist China undermined U.S. sanctions, and President Trump let it happen twice. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow business associates, my fellow citizens, this is not a story about regulatory failure. This is a story about national betrayal. A betrayal that began quietly behind the curtain of bureaucracy under the name of standards and voluntary consensus, and it continues right now during President Trump's second term as it did in his first. The betrayal was exposed as early as 2012 by me, a 40-year quality expert and accreditation expert as well, aerospace, medical implants, printing, and plastic distribution, who directly warned President Donald J. Trump about a disturbing reality. U.S. accreditation and standards bodies, ANSI and ANAB, American National Standards Institute, and the American National Crediting Board, were bypassing U.S. sanctions and collaborating with nations under embargo, including Iran, North Korea, and Cuba, just to name a few. President Trump ignored this warning in 2017, and today, under the banner of national security, once again is imposing sanctions, while the same organizations continue business as usual with America's enemies. The Trojan horse, ANSI, ANAB, and IAF. Let's start with the structure, shall we? The American National Standards Institute and the American National Crediting Board formed a joint monopoly over U.S. conformity assessment certification. Actually, it's worldwide. In 2018, ANSI took over full operational control over ANAB. Together, ANSI and ANAB founded the International Accreditation Forum, incorporated in Delaware. Their sister organization, the global laboratory counterpart, is the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation in Australia. ANSI, ANAB, IAF are not just professional associations. They are legal underwriters. ANSI and ANAB are underwriters of the IAF and ILAC. They have international and national and international accreditation bodies on board, and they are equivalent in accreditation to ANSI, ANAB, okay? They are legal underwriters, ANSI, ANAB are, for product and systematic failures across sectors of IAF and ILAC, including national labs, defense suppliers, and even biolabs. Section 2, the China Connection 2015 to 21. Between 2015 and 21, the IAF was led by Zhao Jinwu, a Chinese Communist Party CCP official and chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services located in Beijing, China. Under China's National Intelligence Law, Article Number 7, every citizen and entity, including Zhao Jinwu, is mandated to collect intelligence on behalf of the Chinese government. So let's be crystal clear, can we not? From 2015 to 21, the U.S. standards and accreditation system was effectively overseen by the CCP, operative obligated to report directly to Chinese intelligence. Section 3, how they bypassed U.S. sanctions. While the U.S. was sanctioning nations like Iran, North Korea, Cuba, ANSI, and ANAB were exploiting loophole created by the Office of Foreign Asset Management, OFAC, in March of 2016, granting ANSI the ability to operate in these sanctioned countries under the premise of voluntary consensus standards. This neutralizes the president's authority to isolate threats through economic pressure. It turns standards into a backdoor diplomacy channel for adversarial regimes. Meanwhile, these bodies also engage with APAC, the Asia-Pacific Accreditation Cooperation, which includes many U.S.-sanctioned nations, even hostile actors like China and Iran. The Wuhan smoking gun. Let's now talk about the WIV, Wuhan Institute of Virology. The certifying body for the WIV was the China National Accreditation Services, equivalent in accreditation to ANSI-ANAB, and ANSI and ANAB are underwriters for the CNAS, which means when that virus escaped, the liability falls on ANSI, ANAB, $100 million not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation. The certifying body was for the WIV was CNAS, run by Zhao Jinwu, the same Chinese Communist Party official leading the IF, which was legally domiciled in Delaware and part of the ANSI-ANAB network. The WIV received BSL-4 accreditation despite lacking trained personnel 6 months prior to it being certified. 6 months after, the scientists were still complaining to a contingency of American scientists that went over there, and they were still complaining about not having enough qualified technicians. But the most damning evidence, ladies and gentlemen, in 2017, on a Texas deposition of Miss Pamela Sale, the vice president of ANSI ANAB's laboratory accreditation program, made this alarming admission. There is no commonly agreed upon set of standards that forensic labs around the country have to follow. Instead, there are informal guidelines that labs can choose to follow or not. This is not just a scandal, it's a systematic breakdown. Pamela Sale's confession confirms that even critical laboratories, including those working with deadly viruses, are accredited based on informal, unenforceable guidelines. That is the exact system that certified the WIV, which ultimately released the virus responsible for the global pandemic. No oversight, no enforcement, no accountability. That's what you get with ANSI ANAB. Just the illusion of safety. Section 5, Trump's second mistake. In 2025, President Trump issued new sanctions on Iran, Russia, and Yemen, and imposed a travel ban on 19 nations. But while he does this on paper, the same shadow system of ANSI, ANAB, IF, and ILAC is still in place. The same people, the same loopholes, the same global network working with and for the American adversaries. Trump failed to act in 2017. He is failing to act now. And a closing call to action. We are not talking about hypothetical risks here, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about legal liability, compromised national security, and direct violation of U.S. law, including ISO IEC 1711-2017, Clause 4.3 for impartiality violations. 5 CFR 2635702C, misuse of public office. 18 U.S.C. 209, dual compensation by private entity while federal payroll. This isn't just a conflict of interest, it is a coordinated breach of public trust. And this came out in 2017, right from ANSI itself. And I'm going to read this to you when Donald Trump put the sanctions in, just like he did in 2025. And here it goes. ANSI statement: ban on travel to U.S. by individuals from certain countries. ANSI is actively investigating for remote participation by affected individuals for meetings already scheduled. ANSI is also finding alternative meeting venues outside the United States for future meetings planned this year but not yet convened. Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. Do you understand that, ladies and gentlemen? And then you have this, the Office of Foreign Asset Control. ANSI anticipates receipt of similar letters of acceptance to work in countries from the OFAC relating to Cuba, Iran, North Korea in due course. This is APAC. APAC, who's on there? Russia, Yemen, United States, China, Pakistan, many countries that Trump has on the travel ban. They sit on the IAF as a member, going around his sanctions. His sanctions are a joke. I must say that. They really are, ladies and gentlemen. And why do we do this? When speaking the truth, ladies and gentlemen, it's as if speaking to the dead, or as Thomas Paine would say, when speaking the truth, it is many times like administering medication to the dead. And I leave this here, ladies and gentlemen. It is despicable, deplorable that President Trump's putting in sanctions. And I warned back in 2017, his first term. Did he answer? No. Do you know why? They get thousands of letters. And nobody even reads it. Nobody in his staff reads it. Don't let anybody bullshit you. Look at Connecticut again. 3.6 million people in this state, watched over by 7 representatives, which means each one has to handle 500,000 constituents. You send in a letter to them, you're lucky to get the letter back, a form letter, and it doesn't even say anything about the original letter and intent you had in the letter you presented to your representative. We have failed. Our government has failed us. And this is even more blatant with the sanctions that President Trump put in. And I make this because it is not the size of the dog in the fight that counts. It's the size of the fight in the dog. Just remember that. Dwight D. Eisenhower, 203-556-1493. I thank you.